we have one.
We are now live.
This is Senate Appropriations, and we're continuing our work. And our last bill is S-287, and it's on the pupil weighting. And we have Senator Hardy here, who is one of the co-chairs of the Summer Task Force, and is presenting the bill on behalf of the Finance Committee. And we have it because there's in the bill a request to add 6 positions.
Correct. So
we'll let you give us just a high overview.
Okay.
And we'll probably have our amendment and put you on our list.
okay, I'm happy to be on your list. So I will just give you the high level talking points and then talk about the appropriations. This does update the pupil weights, which are the way that we count pupils for the equalization, equalized pupil count for the distribution of school tax capacity for local school districts and the setting of tax rates and the setting of budgets at the local level. That's a really quick explanation of something that's far more complicated than that. But it adds weights and increases the size of the current weights. These are based on the recommendations of a study that was done by UVM and Rutgers, and also the work of the Pupil Weighting Task Force, which was a summer study task force. And it also adds a very small mini grant for school districts that have small numbers of English language learner students, and that is done on top of using the pupil weight, because these school districts would not have sufficient taxing capacity to be able to raise funds to serve the students with those needs. So it sort of gives them a little bit of extra bump to be able to hire a teacher. Makes other financing modifications, including changing the measurement for poverty, moving from the SNAP measurement to the free and reduced lunch measurement, to eventually an universal income form. Still using the same percentage of poverty, the 185% is just a different way of collecting that's more accurate, collecting that data. Makes all the weights additive, it eliminates small school grants and streamlines merger support grants. There's a 5-year phase-in so that school districts have time to adjust to the new weights and are not sort of slammed with a change in their equalized pupil and a change in their budgets really quickly. That's a pretty typical way that we phase in things. The best way we phased in Act 60, Act 46, a lot of major school finance changes.
Is it a 20% like a year over the 5 years, or how?
Essentially it is. What it actually is, an average of equalized pupils, a 5-year average. So it sort of takes the year and the 4 previous years and then rolls it forward. So it's doing it, it's moving in the change in equalized pupils over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
Do you have a cheat sheet on this?
I do. I sent you one. Actually, I sent the whole Senate district by district that you should be able to see both the change in the equalized pupils and the change in tax rates. Pardon me?
When did you do that?
A couple days ago.
Oh, just a couple days ago. I thought it was the one you sent earlier.
Yeah, and I sent you in this summary too, and so hold on one second, Senator, and I'll answer your question. Let me just finish my thought. It starts with a 5-year rolling average, and then for the first 3 years, it's 5 years, and then the 4th year, it's 4 years, and then the 5th year, it's 3 years. It's sort of like a rolling in and then rolling, so it doesn't go up and then in the last year drop off, if you know what I mean. Then it stays with the 3-year rolling average in order to level out. Any districts that have a decline in enrollment or an increase in enrollment, it keeps it at sort of a level 3-year rolling average.
What's the first year it would start with?
FY24.
Yeah.
So it does not start next year. Districts have already set their budgets and everything. It's too late to make such a massive change. So it starts in FY24.
But maybe it didn't widen out enough. I couldn't find the dollar amount.
Yeah, someone else asked me about the dollar amount, and it really depends on what your local school district budgets are. And since the budgets are set at the local level, it's really hard to determine what the funding amount would be. The information I sent you also was based on looking at FY20 and rolling that forward. All the modeling that we did for the pupil weighting task force was looking at FY20 because it was pre-pandemic, so it was pre-ESSER funds. And so it was the last year that districts set sort of quote unquote a normal pre-pandemic budget. So if you look, I have it, if you look at, you can see the final column will tell you whether it's a negative or a positive. And what are you looking at? Oh, that's the final report. This I sent to the full Senate, I think Tuesday, I believe, maybe Wednesday. And I can send it to you all again if you'd like. Stephanie, I can copy you. I didn't copy you at the time, but I copied Julia.
Julia, I think you might have sent it Wednesday. I think she mentioned that you sent it the day before yesterday.
So that's the draft report. If you go back to your email. No, that's not it. I don't have it. You don't have it in there. I don't know. I sent it to the full Senate. Did the rest of you get it?
I can't find it.
Really?
That's too good.
I'll resend it. I'm sorry. I thought I sent it to the full Senate, but Senator Westman, I probably didn't send it to your Gmail. For those of you who are not using your Senate emails, that's maybe why you don't have it. So I'll resend it and put it on your.
Wednesday, I got it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Alice. I was like, oh, shoot, I'm going crazy here.
No.
I'll resend it to you. Let me just finish going through the bill because, then it creates an education fund advisory committee, which would be composed of the tax commissioner, the AOE secretary, and 5 education finance people, experts through the regular approval appointee process. And they would be charged with recommending to the legislature updates on pupil weights, categorical aid amounts, cost control mechanisms, revenue sources, and taxation issues, and overall transparency and efficiency of the system. This is something that was recommended by the Tax Structure Advisory Committee and the Pupil Weighting Task Force, just to have eyes on the system and be making regular recommendations to the legislature. The pupil weights were not updated for over 20 years, and in large part it was because there wasn't somebody sort of looking at the data and making recommendations. The task force, or the study's authors recommended that the weights be recalibrated every 5 years. And recalibrated means just looking at using new data and updating the weights. Recalculated on a more regular basis even, which is rerunning the weights, which is what we had them do last fall for us when we changed some of the things in the making the weights additive and changing the poverty measure. So that's what this Education Fund Advisory Committee would do. There's also a performance audit in 2029, which is after everything is completely rolled in, to look at whether or not implementing these weights improved the student equity and outcomes. And there's a section in the bill that talks about the performance audit. It would be done by the auditor in conjunction with AOE and the Education Fund Advisory Committee. And then the final sort of big bullet point is that it does request or appropriate 6 new positions to the Agency of Education. And the positions would be to provide better support to school districts for English language learning, to implement and create the new universal income form, and to have more positions in the school finance division of AOE. And this was, the 6 positions were arrived at based on testimony and recommendation from the secretary. And also just sort of looking at the need for implementing a large change to our system like this. So the appropriations, Madam Chair, are the 600,000 for the 6 FTEs. There's also $2,500 in there for
I see that.
diems for the advisory council.
Isn't there's also the ELO,
That's education funding.
yeah. But
Yeah.
isn't that something we would decide on as well?
We would leave that, it's.
Okay.
Because that, it's just, part of the educational cost of the K through 12 system.
Do those grants start 23 then?
24 in FY 24.
So it's appropriated here in the bill? where
It's not appropriated in the bill. The grants are not appropriated in the bill because they don't start the following year.
So you'll see them show up in the budget next year.
Yeah.
Is it?
And there's also a reduction in categorical aid because we get rid of the small schools grant. And
So that would all roll
so
through into
yeah, it's a-
24.
frankly, it would probably be about even because the small schools grants are gonna be eliminated. So that would show up in 24, yeah.
So we have 15A, which is the 2,500, and that's for the advisory committee. Normally, we put a limit on the number of meetings they have every year. I don't know if you
There's a limit of 4 per year in here, in the bill, I believe.
really, in the creation of the committee.
Correct. Right, I can't remember where it is in here now, I'm looking for it quickly.
You're correct, and it is gonna be on page 32, I believe. Let me just see where I can find it myself.
It's page 33, up to 4 meetings per year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's in there, it's the very end, compensation and reimbursement.
Yeah, line 3 on page 33. Yep.
That's our standard language under section statement.
There's gonna be a couple more.
Yeah, so we didn't want it to be just a zillion meetings, but basically quarterly meetings.
We can leave 15A in, it's kind of a de minimis cost, appropriation 2,500 to support the advisory committee. And then
25 here and 25 there.
adds up. And then strike, and we'll add it to our list
I mean,
for the budget. And that's section 17, then we deal with the staffing and the appropriation.
well, those meetings, they have,
So
they
33.
have money in their
Right up toward the
budget
top.
for that. Legislative council.
Okay, so we're cutting 17 and where else?
I was gonna leave 15A, the 2,500, I believe, is appropriated to AOE. And that's to support the work of the advisory committee for those individuals. Obviously, the tax commissioner and the education secretary are,
That's a big
You mean they
Bobby
haven't,
and I could go to lunch with that.
they haven't got $2,500 over there to offset that little
I don't know.
cost, I mean,
It's not for them, right?
I thought it was.
It's appropriated
I think it's if
from,
you're not otherwise receiving the salary.
Now, Bobby's saying, doesn't the agency have enough money to
Oh,
accommodate
I-
paying for the costs of the advisory committee?
I'm not gonna worry.
no, it does tick me off though, that it's the Education Fund Advisory Committee paid for by the general fund.
Well, Act 60 said no administrative
I
costs, you
know.
know, so, all right.
No.
So we can leave 15A intact for 2,500. And,
It's gonna break the budget.
I know.
We'll take a couple of million.
and we will have an amendment,
To get rid of
Simply strike.
17.
strike 17 for now and add it to our list.
Is that it?
I believe that would be the only thing to do.
I move as long as I get my stuff from Senator Harvey, I move that we strike section.
That sounds like a conflict here.
If I don't get my summary, I take my motion back.
Listen,
Oh,
I
this one.
I just need to find what I sent and I'll send it to all of you again.
Oh, I have it.
You want to send it?
Um,
Oh, you do have it?
You need a motion? or
I need
did
a
you-
motion to amend the bill.
I
Right.
made a motion to
Oh, you
strike
did.
section 17.
All right, so Senator Starr must want to second it.
Well, I don't have my call sheet.
It's just printing his call.
Get busy.
It's not.
It's coming.
It's not in the printer.
It's coming.
You are so slow.
Yeah.
That was on me, not Senator Brewer. Here we go, sir.
Thanks. Okay.
Are you calling the roll or?
Yeah.
Let's just hear, what's
First the amendment.
the amendment again is?
The amendment is to strike
Outside
17, which
ledge
adds
door,
6 positions
state
and
law, just like
600,000.
yours.
Yep.
And we'll
I
deal
sent
with that in the big bill.
Yeah, and is there anything else?
Oh, I got Harley Riders.
Okay.
Okay. So Senator Starr, our clerk is about to call the roll on the amendment to strike section 17, which carries the appropriation and creates 6 positions. And that will add it to our list of requests for the big bill. So
In other
we
words,
have,
quiet down.
so the amendment has been made and seconded. So now we're gonna,
Senator Bauman, Senator Baruth, yes. Senator Nitka,
Yes.
Senator Sears. Oh, Senator Starr, yes. Senator West,
Yes,
Senator Kitchen.
yes. Now I need a motion to move the bill.
I move the bill as amended.
All right. A second,
I'll second.
Senator Starr.
Senator Bauman, Senator Baruth, yes. Senator Nitka,
Yes.
Senator Sears, Senator Starr, yes. Senator Westman,
Yes.
Senator Kitchen.
Yes.
I'll report that.
Yeah, you're the reporter.
Okay, thank you all. I'm gonna go back to the blood bath across the hall.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
Thanks.
Yes.
So I can. Thank
You bet for everything. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and I'll take that up.
We're waiting for the amendment,
Yeah, we have it.
and then when we have it, I will,
Then you can
Is
sign.
it coming right now?
Jim is working on it now. Jim?
Yep.
What's
Will I
your
have to be
timing?
here when the amendment is?
What's,
Oh, 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Oh, okay.
Okay, are we ready to go offline, or are we gonna?
I think we are ready to go up. I think I was just asking Stephanie, I think that we have moved all the bills
There's two remaining in the
to,
door
but
that
we're
are
gonna
be
fold
on.
them into the big budget.
Nice.
So we have, I think, cleared
Yes.
the debt, so to speak, for crossover. And so I'm going to adjourn the